It started with a scream. Not the kind that makes you check for danger. This one was pure indignation. I'd just stepped out of my truck, gravel crunching under my boots, when a woman in a pastel visor and a name-tag lanyard came marching down the dirt road, like she owned the forest itself. "You can't be here!" she barked, waving a clipboard like a sheriff's badge. "This property belongs to the Whispering Pines HOA." I looked past her at the cabin. My cabin. Its cedar siding weathered to silver, the porch sagging just enough to whisper quiet weekends ahead. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "this cabin sits 200 feet past your HOA boundary. County plat map says so. I pulled the record myself." That only made her angrier. "I don't care what you think you bought. This is private HOA land, and you're trespassing." She jabbed her phone toward me, already dialing. "I'm calling the sheriff." While she argued with dispatch, I pulled my closing folder from the passenger seat. Deed, survey, coordinates. Everything matched the county records. My property, free and clear, untouched by the HOA's grasp. But I could already feel what kind of fight this would be. Her name, I later learned, was Karen Douglas, president of the Whispering Pines Homeowners Association, the type who thought bylaws outranked county records. I hadn't been there 5 minutes, and she was already trying to annex me into her fiefdom. When the deputy arrived, cool-headed, sunglasses on, cruiser idling, Karen charged first. "He broke through our gate. He's not allowed here. We've had problems with squatters before." The deputy looked at me. I handed him my paperwork. "Bought it last week. Parcel 7B, unincorporated county. Not part of any HOA." He stepped back, checking his tablet. "She's right about one thing," he said, smirking. "There is a gate, but it's a private road and your cabin's off it. You're fine?" Karen's jaw twitched. "He still has to obey our HOA standards. No trailers, no generators, no—" "Ma'am," the deputy interrupted, "he's not under your jurisdiction. You can't enforce anything past your boundary." The silence that followed was beautiful, the kind of silence where power drains out of a person's face like color from a photograph. For a few days, peace held. I rebuilt the porch, trimmed the trees, and fixed the chimney cap that had rusted off. But then, the petty harassment started. It began with a chain across my driveway, padlocked. No note. Just a smug little HOA logo tag dangling in the wind. Then came the anonymous complaint letters taped to my cabin door. Eyesore structure, non-compliant exterior, illegal trash burning. I hadn't burned anything but coffee grounds. By week 3, my mailbox vanished entirely. I knew what this was. Pressure. The HOA wanted me gone, or better yet, absorbed. Karen was convinced if she made my life miserable enough, I'd fold and volunteer to join Whispering Pines. She didn't understand who she was dealing with, so I started my own paper trail. First, I installed 2 cellular trail cams at the gate and my driveway, motion alerts straight to my phone. Second, I ordered reflective survey pins from the county surveyor's office, official markers to re-establish my boundary. Third, I created a shared GPS folder labeled Property Line, Evidence, synced with timestamps, video captures, and incident notes. If she wanted to play HOA politics, I'd play by statute and record. Sure enough, within a week the cameras caught her. Karen, visor and all, clipping the chain back onto my posts after removing my private property sign. Twice. The footage was crisp, night vision, time-stamped, GPS tagged. I forwarded it to the sheriff's office with a polite note. Suspected trespass and vandalism. Documentation attached. Within an hour, the deputy called back. "Yeah, we know her. You're not the first one she's tried this on. Keep logging everything. We'll start a case file." The next weekend, I found tire marks in my grass. Fresh, deep, deliberate. Someone had driven a golf cart right up to my porch. My camera caught only a sliver of motion, a silver HOA badge glinting under the porch light, a clipboard tossed in frustration. That night, Sitting on the porch with a thermos of coffee and my trail cam feed glowing on my laptop, I decided this wasn't about a property line anymore. This was about power, and someone finally saying no. I looked out across the pines, wind whispering through needles, and smiled. "All right, Karen," I said quietly. "Let's see how you handle evidence." The next morning, I drove to the county recorder's office, a beige building that smelled like toner and dust. I handed the clerk my parcel number and asked for the original plat map. She printed it out and pointed to a dotted line. "Here's the HOA boundary. Parcel 6B through 7A. Your lot, 7B, was carved out back in '93. Never annexed, never subject to HOA covenants." I smiled and said, "Mind stamping that certified?" When I walked out, I carried 3 documents that changed everything. A certified plat map proving my property sat outside the HOA's jurisdiction, the surveyor's boundary notes reaffirming every pin coordinate, and a bylaw excerpt from Whispering Pines itself, stating in their own words, "Boundaries end at marker post 7A. Paperwork, the great equalizer. That night, I installed new boundary markers at each surveyed corner. 2-inch steel rods, reflective tape, GPS logged. I dropped air tags inside the hollow tops, so if anyone moved them, I'd know exactly when and where. Sure enough, 3 days later my phone buzzed. AirTag detected moving. Someone was tampering. When I arrived, the markers were gone, replaced by flimsy plastic stakes painted HOA green. Karen was escalating, from petty vandalism to evidence destruction. This time, I didn't just file another report. I called a licensed surveyor, a calm, silver-haired guy named Rick Danner, who'd done contract work for the county. He met me on site, measuring tape and laser tripod in hand. "She's trying to blur the boundary," he said, scanning the ridgeline. "Classic tactic, but you've got timestamps and prior footage. That's gold." Rick re-established the markers while I filmed everything, his equipment calibration, coordinate readouts, even the signature on his verification form. "Chain of custody," I told him. He grinned. "You're thorough. I like it." By the time Karen showed up, clipboard swinging, the camera was already rolling. "What do you think you're doing?" she snapped. Rick didn't even look up. "Licensed survey verification, ma'am. You're standing on parcel 7B outside HOA jurisdiction." She laughed. "This whole area is Whispering Pines property." I held up the certified plat map. "Not according to the county, and not according to your own bylaws." Her face stiffened. "We'll see about that." "Oh, we will," I said, keeping my voice low. "Everything's recorded." She stormed off, tires spitting gravel, and by nightfall she'd made her next move. A cease and desist letter on HOA letterhead, accusing me of violating architectural standards and creating unauthorized disturbances. The irony was delicious. The next day, I visited a property rights attorney, sharp suit, sharper eyes, named Lisa Mendez. I spread out my files like a chessboard. Lisa scanned the documents and whistled. "This is textbook overreach. They're asserting authority outside their plat. You've got them dead to rights." She drafted a formal response with precision and authority. In the first section, she firmly demanded that the HOA immediately cease all forms of harassment and refrain from further interference. The second section included county-certified boundary documents, clearly establishing the legal property lines beyond dispute. Finally, in the third section, she warned that any continued interference would result in legal action under Civil Code 2041.4 for violation of property rights. Lisa also suggested filing a restraining order against individual board members if the harassment continued. "HOAs like this thrive on intimidation," she said. "Take away their leverage. They fold. By week 6, things got quiet. Too quiet. Until my cameras picked up something new. A group of HOA board members in reflective vests setting up cones on my access road. They planted a private HOA property, no trespassing sign right at my gate. I didn't confront them. I just watched, recorded, and time-stamped. Then I filed a county code complaint for illegal signage on non-HOA land. The county zoning inspector, who'd apparently had his own run-ins with Whispering Pines, scheduled a site visit. He came armed with a clipboard and a GPS receiver. "These folks again?" he muttered. "Let's have some fun." Within 10 minutes he'd confirmed it. The sign, the cones, and even part of their road were on my property. "They'll get a citation for this," he said, snapping photos. "Maybe it'll finally shut them up." I thanked him and added the report to my growing archive, now over 50 pages of maps, photos, and incident logs. That weekend I got a new letter. Not from Karen this time, from the HOA's lawyer. A demand that I cease occupying HOA common property. Lisa reviewed it, chuckling. "They just admitted in writing they're claiming your land. Perfect. We'll counter-sue for slander of title." We drafted the complaint, filed it, and attached every piece of evidence, from GPS pins to AirTag logs to sheriff reports. The HOA didn't know it yet, but the noose was tightening. And when the hearing date arrived, I had one more surprise ready, footage that would end the game completely. The day of the HOA hearing, the community centre parking lot was jammed with SUVs and lawn signs. "Protect Whispering Pines! Stop the trespasser!" Karen had turned my boundary dispute into a neighbourhood crusade. Inside, folding chairs faced a long table, where the board sat in matching polos, their logo embroidered like a uniform. Karen presided dead centre, chin up, voice sharp. "We are here to address the unlawful occupation of HOA, common property by Mr. Miles Carter," she began, glaring at me like she was addressing an intruder at a royal banquet. I took my seat quietly, laptop open, camera discreetly rolling. On the wall, a projector waited, my secret weapon. Karen started with a slideshow of maps she'd corrected. Red lines extended the HOA's borders right over my parcel, as if wishful thinking could rewrite geography. "Mr. Carter's so-called property lies within our protected buffer zone," she declared. "He's ignored repeated requests to comply with our standards." "Correction," I said, standing. "You've ignored the county's boundaries and the law." I clicked my laptop. The projector screen flickered to life. A night vision clip of Karen herself, visor and all, clipping chains, tearing down my private property signs and planting HOA stakes in their place. Gasps filled the room. A few board members turned toward her, eyes wide. "That's not me," she stammered. I played the second clip. Daylight this time. Her SUV's plate clear as day. Time-stamped. GPS coordinates matched to parcel 7B. Then came the AirTag log, a screen recording of the movement alerts when my markers were stolen. A trail leading right to her address inside Whispering Pines. The room fell dead silent, except for the faint hum of the projector fan. "Your move, Karen," I said quietly. Before she could answer, a man in a tan jacket stepped forward. It was the county zoning inspector. "For the record," he said, holding up his clipboard, "I confirmed last month that Mr. Carter's parcel is outside the HOA. The HOA has no legal authority to restrict, fine, or otherwise interfere with his property. In fact," he glanced at his notes, "the HOA's signage and obstructions violate County Code 1241. You'll be receiving citations for those." The board erupted into whispers. Karen's face flushed deep red. "You don't understand," she snapped, voice shaking. "We've maintained that road for years." "And that doesn't give you ownership," I interrupted. "You maintain it past your boundary. That's your mistake, not my problem." The HOA's attorney, seated beside her, cleared his throat. "Madam President, perhaps we should—" But Karen slammed her palm on the table. "This man has been nothing but hostile. He's spying on us." I gestured to the screen. "Recording crimes isn't spying, Karen. It's evidence." Lisa, my lawyer, stepped forward next, calm, steady, surgical. "We filed a counterclaim for slander of title and trespass with intent to harass," she said. We're also seeking damages for interference with quiet enjoyment, plus legal fees. The HOA's lawyer paled. We'd like to discuss settlement terms privately. Too late. The meeting had gone viral. Someone in the back, probably one of the younger homeowners, was live-streaming the whole thing. The comments scrolled fast and brutal. Karen strikes again. Not her calling the cops on the wrong guy. HOA gone wild. By week's end, the fallout was complete. Karen resigned for personal reasons. The HOA board issued a public apology and dropped their claim. Their insurer quietly paid my legal costs and settlement, a modest 5 figures that covered every repair and upgrade I'd made to the cabin. The county ordered the HOA to remove all signage beyond their boundary. I watched them do it. Same board members, same orange vests, pulling out their own stakes while pretending not to see me sipping coffee on my porch. The deputy stopped by one last time to hand me the final report. Never seen anyone make an HOA eat their own bylaws like that, he said. Nicely done. I just nodded. Boundaries matter, even the imaginary ones. Now the cabin's finished. New siding, porch lights, and a trail cam that doubles as decor. The air smells like pine and vindication. Every time I hear a car slow near the gate, I glance up, half expecting that pastel visor to reappear. But she doesn't. The forest's quiet again. Here's the funny part. I didn't set out for revenge. I just wanted peace and privacy. But some people can't stand what they can't control, and they forget the law doesn't bend for control freaks. If you've ever faced an HOA that went too far, take notes. Record everything, read the bylaws, and never bow to noise. Justice isn't loud, it's documented.